of all the sages. There is not a moment when I am not explaining it to you, but you are unwilling to take it up. So it turns out, on the contrary, to be my deception. But look here, where is it that I am not explaining for you? Professional Zenists say, I do not teach people to think. I do not teach people to understand. I do not teach people to discuss stories. I do not cite past and present examples. They suppose we are idling away the time here, and think that if they had spent the time elsewhere, they would have understood a few model case stories and heard some writings. If you want to discuss stories, cite past and present, then please go somewhere else. Here, I have only one flavor Zen, which I therefore call the marrow of sages. Now let me ask you something. Why do you pay respects to an icon of wisdom? Does the icon acknowledge you when you pay respects? Does it agree with you? If you say it acknowledges you, it is a clay icon. How can it give any acknowledgement? If you say it agrees, can you agree? Since you are incapable of acknowledgement or agreement, why do you pay respects? Is it a social convention? Is it producing goodness from seeing a representation? If you say it is a social duty, how can there be social convention among renunciates? How can they produce good by seeing representations? Do you pay respects as a consequence of going along with the crowd? If so, what is the logic in that? Here you must understand each point clearly. Have you not read how the great teacher Changsha one day turned around and saw the icon of wisdom, whereupon he suddenly realized the ultimate and said, "Turning around, I suddenly see the original body. The original body is not a perception or a reality. If you consider the original being to be the same as the real being, you will suffer hardship forever." Do you understand the logic of this? emancipation. In ancient times, a Zen worthy asked an old adept, so what is a Zen worthy? Well, a Zen worthy who is someone who they have an experience. They have a direct experience of reality that isn't based in words or phrases of any kind. And that direct experience of reality cannot be influenced or manipulated or altered by situations or experiences. And an old adept is someone who's been cultivating that and experiencing that for quite some time. So in ancient times, a Zen worthy asked an old adept, what is essential for emancipation? And what is that emancipation? Well, that's a freedom from suffering, right? Is it? Is that what emancipation is? The old adept said, fog is rising from your feet, Reverend. At these words, the Zen worthy suddenly got the message. So what's the message there? Well, it can be a cutting through of intellectual thinking or understanding about the idea of oneself that has been sustained up to that point. So where we get into trouble is when that sense of self, that sense of if you formulate the idea that you can understand, then you are blocked off from it. Now that's a really poignant, really direct, clear teaching, all right, in the world of Zen. If you formulate the idea that you can understand, then you are blocked off from it. So welcome to the world of you not being able to understand anything, or if you develop an understanding, then you're blocked off from the truth. You're blocked off from the way that things actually are. Later, another adept said, I dare not turn my back on you, Master, for fog is rising from your feet. Has anyone here ever seen fog rising from someone's feet? Then there is the story of when Beiyang Tong left Dongshan, Master Dongshan. Dongshan said, where are you going? Tong replied, into the mountains. Dongshan said, flying Monkey Ridge is steep, a fine sight. Tong hesitated. Dongshan said, Reverend Tong. Tong responded, yes. Dongshan said, why don't you go into the mountains? At these words, Tong suddenly got the message. So how long will it take you to get the message to go into the nature of life that doesn't have things or people or places or situations or discussions or experiences? The ancient ones were quite direct in their ways of helping others. Whenever people came to them, they would show them. In this case, he said he was going into the mountains. What does this mean? People today do not realize clearly, inevitably making an understanding. So is there something that we can realize here and now that's not based on an understanding? Can you realize something now? Can you come to a realization now that's not based on understanding anything? Can you walk without understanding things? Can you breathe without understanding the situation that you're in your life? One can only investigate comprehensively through experience. One cannot understand just by intellectual interpretation. Once you have comprehended thoroughly with unified comprehension, you will no longer doubt. Nevertheless, this is not easy to maintain. If you have entered into it correctly, you will not backslide. Thus, even if you have clarified what can be understood, that is not comparable to seeing what cannot be understood and also having the ability to maintain it. So, the ability to see what cannot be understood and having the ability to maintain seeing what cannot be understood. Then you will always be aware and always be alert. That is why an ancient said, the normal mind is the path. Can one aim for it? If you try to head for it, you are turning away from it. So if our normal mind is the path to this experience of something that cannot be understood, something that can't be put into words, then what's your problem? What's the issue? And what is the normal mind for that matter? Can the normal mind, can the ordinary mind be understood? Can you aim for the normal mind? When we aim for the normal mind, it's a little bit like slipping on one of these. The normal mind is already. Seeing as how you are not allowed to head for it, then how do you maintain it? It's not easy. So, how do we maintain not heading for something? How do we maintain not going in a direction? Is this not emancipation? If you seek a state of emancipation, this is what is called a cramp. Zhuan Sha said, the whole earth is an eon of hell. If you do not clarify yourself, this is a serious cramp. It will not do to idle away the time. So, to clarify yourself, to clarify the experience of reality that you're having right now, that is not different from your ordinary mind. So, can you look at your ordinary mind? Or is it only possible to continue rambling thoughts? Is there such thing as an ordinary mind that isn't based in rambling thoughts, bubbling up pus in the brain of thinking about things and people and places and situations. Not to say to get rid of that, not to say that that's not there, but is there something underlying? Is there something more ordinary than the overflowing pus of your thinking? And can you comprehend that thoroughly? Can you thoroughly comprehend your mind that isn't based on thinking? Can you thoroughly clarify your mind as awareness? Can you do that? Or does that make you feel dizzy? And in doing that, not seeking something, not seeking freedom from the mind. Because if you're seeking freedom from the suffering, you're not recognizing where that suffering is arising from. That suffering is arising from your original mind. That suffering is arising not from an ego to experience that for yourself, instead of wasting time gurgling pus. Stop opinions. Is our live stream okay? Is our connection stable? The third patriarch of Zen said, "Don't seek reality. Just put a stop to opinions." Can you put that into practice? Can you stop seeking reality and just put a stop to opinions? Now, who are you when you don't have any opinions about anything? Not in a state of sleepiness or dullness or vagueness, but being alert and aware and present with reality, not needing to search for it because it's already there. What's going on? What's going on? You're looking for, trying to bring up or kick up an understanding. So not seeking for reality, not trying to build up an understanding, and putting a stop to opinions. He also said, as soon as there are judgments of right and wrong, the mind is lost in a flurry. So who says it's wrong that your dad died? Who says it's right for your girlfriend to find another boyfriend or to break up with you? You say that because you bring up these judgments of right and wrong. And as soon as there are judgments of right and wrong in the mind is lost in a flurry. The mind is in a storm. So these sayings teach you people of today what to work on. Now that's simple and that's direct. The third patriarch of Zen said, and now we'll have some space for questions. Listen closely. Don't seek reality, just put a stop to opinions. He also said, as soon as there are judgments of right and wrong, the mind is lost in a flurry. Making sense of the world is getting stuck in making an understanding. Do you need an understanding to drive your car? Do you need an understanding to know to drink water instead of gasoline? Do you need an understanding to know that your car will not run on water and that your body will not run on gasoline? No. So this is seeking after reality, seeking after what is already, seeking after what is in front of you already. Just put a stop to opinions. Don't seek reality. and stop judgments of right and wrong. You're feeling it. You don't like it, or you like it. But stop making judgments about it. When you read his saying, "Don't seek reality," you say there is no further need to seek. This means you are still entertaining opinions and are in a flurry of judgments. After all, you have not reached a state of mind where there is no seeking, and are just making up an opinionated interpretation. So, this is a practice versus a opinion. It's an opinion to say that there's no need for you to seek anymore. It's a practice to not seek reality. People who study Zen nowadays are all like this, reading a transformative saying and reaching an insight into the words. Then they try to apply it to all sayings, thinking they are all the same. Keeping this in their hearts, they think of it as their own attainment, far from realizing they. Yeah, that's strange. The stream seems to be unstable. Is it back now? Are we back? Are we connected? We've been having some connection issues, all of us, I'm sure. So hopefully these teachings can improve our Wi-Fi. Grandmaster Yongjia said, "The true nature of ignorance is the very nature of enlightenment. The empty body of illusions and projections is the very body of realities. These two are each distinct. How do you understand the logic of identity? You have to experience the mind without seeking. Then they will integrate and you will get to be trouble-free. In the 10 stages of enlightenment, the fifth is the stage difficult to conquer, which means that it is extremely difficult to attain equality of real knowledge and conventional knowledge. When you enter this stage, the two are equal, so it is called the stage that is difficult to conquer. Students of the path should take them in and make them equal 24 hours a day." Real knowledge and conventional knowledge. So maybe we can put that into the boxes of the way that things actually are and the way that things appear to be. So for example, conventionally, I am separate from you, and conventionally this body is separate from the environment, this room, the oxygen, the temperature. But in reality, real knowledge is that this body and this room are. And there is no body without this room. That's real knowledge. But conventional knowledge is kind of more based in convention or appearances or ideas about things. It's kind of like a story-based knowledge. So in the 10 stages of enlightenment, this fifth stage is called difficult to conquer, which means that it is extremely difficult to attain the equality of real knowledge and conventional knowledge, so that these become equal. There's nothing that's higher or lower between the way that things actually are and the way that things appear to be. When you enter this stage, the two are equal. So it is called the stage that is difficult to conquer, and that is that they don't overpower one another. They don't compete with each other. They go together. Because there's a difference for us normal people, between the way that things actually are and the way that things appear to be. And so appearances, you know, they're all over the place. Your ideas that you have about things, and then the reality of things as they are, doesn't care, basically. It doesn't have anything to do with your opinion or your thoughts about things. So this practice is specifically to learn the untangling of the importance given to your thoughts about things. Your opinions, your positions are worth nothing. They're just shit on the ground. Shit on the ground is literally worth more than your opinions. That's a Zen teaching. When we listen to these kinds of teachings, it's really similar to listening to subtle sounds. It's not a time to comment. It's not a time to share our views, our little ideas. Um, so listen to this. So in this uh, real knowledge, okay, we're still live, we're still here. So in this real knowledge, it's a knowledge based on our intimate experiences with reality. It's not your thoughts about things. And this is difficult to digest, that because of spirituality, it has so much to do with ourselves or our ego, how we view ourselves, how we view the world, and then having it pointed out that all of that has nothing to do with real spirituality. Your views about the world, or your understanding about your opinion about what reality is, etc. So this real knowledge is a relationship with the way that things actually are. And that word relationship is important because it speaks to the lack of relevance that our thoughts have in being in relationship. So, imagine if all you could do was think about the person that you're quote unquote in a relationship with. Or imagine if all you could do was think about the housing situation that you're in a relationship with. Or all you could do is think about the water that you're in a relationship with, that your relationship was based on thinking about that. That wouldn't make any sense. So this spiritual path, this spiritual experience is a kind of being in relationship with. In the here and now, in the present, always. And that's where we get into these degrees of enlightenment. It's our degree of relationship with the way that things actually are in the here and now. And so, saying anything about it is always going to be secondary to that relationship. So we can think about being enlightened, we can think about having a certain perspective, a certain position, but that has nothing to do with actually having that perspective or being in that position. Has nothing to do with it. So, for example, that any story about what's happening right now has zero to do with what's happening right now. In every layer, in every level, in every aspect of your experiencing this, or me experiencing this. And there's no one who can change that or force that or control that, just in the same way that there's no one who can stop death. And this is this unconditional quality to what you could call the enlightened state. And we're getting, as individuals, as identities, we're getting into relationship with that state of experience. That's what Buddhism is really about. Are we live here? Are we live on YouTube? So we're still here on this real knowledge. And this real knowledge is the knowledge of the Dhamma, the knowledge of no self, the knowledge of impermanence, and the knowledge of dukkha or nibbana, suffering or freedom from suffering. And I was saying this real knowledge is experiential in a way that's not conditional. So it's unconditionally based. It's based in freedom from conditions. which means that it doesn't matter if someone is a human, it doesn't matter if they're using a telescope, it doesn't matter if it's in the past or the future or the present. It's a knowledge that's not conditional according to conventions. So it's beyond conventions, it's underneath conventions. Now, the conventional knowledge is your ideas about what's happening right now, your ideas that you have about yourself, your ideas that you may have about me. It's a knowledge of appearances. It's a knowledge of seeming. So the real knowledge is like the clear blue sky, nature of the sky. The conventional knowledge is like things that appear and disappear in the sky. Now, when you enter into this stage of enlightenment, these two become equal. So that is that the conventional is expressing the real knowledge, and that the real knowledge is expressing the conventional. So they inter-are. It's a presence, it's an awareness, it's a stage of enlightenment where conventional and real knowledge are equal, one in the same, so that you can see the real in the conventional and you can see the conventional in the real. Now, listen to this. Do you know they are drawn up? So real knowledge and conventional knowledge are drawn up by your non-discriminatory mind. So a mind of clear awareness, a mind that doesn't have preferences, a mind that doesn't have identity, a mind that doesn't pick and choose anything. Like an artist drawing all sorts of pictures, both pretty and ugly. The mind depicts forms, feelings, perceptions, abstract patterns, and consciousnesses. It depicts human societies and paradises. When it is drawing these pictures, it does not borrow the power of another. There is no discrimination between the artist and the artwork. It is because of not realizing this that you conceive various opinions, having views of yourself and views of other people, creating your own fair and foul. So it is said, and before we go into what is said here, you're imagining this sense of separation. You're imagining this discrimination. You're imagining these borderlines between the experience and you, the experience and the experiencer, the knowledge and the knowing. And these borderlines are just shit in your teeth. And when you speak out and when you express this clinging to opinions, you've come out of the bathroom, smiling, and there's brown on your teeth. And this is the nature of holding opinions. It's tough. It's tough. And this is the nature of debating. This is the nature of discriminatory awareness, picking and choosing. So it is said, an artist draws a picture of hell with countless sorts of hideous forms. On setting aside the brush to look it over, it's bone-chilling, really hair-raising. But if you know it's a drawing, what is there to fear? What is there to get stuck on? What is there to get attached to? What is there to have an opinion about? Nothing. So knowing is neither experience nor is it not experience. Knowing is just nothing. Experience is just nothing. And there's no one to say that. It's just gas from the rear end, as this talk is as well. But if you know it's a drawing, what is there to fear? If you know that it is temporary, what is there to worry about? What is there to suffer about? In olden times, when people had clearly realized this, it became evident in all situations. Once, when the great teacher Zhuan Sha was cutting down a tree, a tiger bounded out of the woods. The teacher's companion said, "It's a tiger." The teacher scolded him and said, "It's a tiger for you." Another time, when he saw a seeker performing prostrations, Zhuansha said, "It is because of the self that one can bow to the other." These expedients are in profound accord with the intent of Buddha. It is because of the self that one can bow to the other. So this self and other inter-are. The great teacher of Fayan once pointed to a dog right in front of him and said, "An engraving." He pointed to a dog and said, "An engraving." When you look at this, do not look to the dog itself for clarification. You must see it in your own experience before you can get it. Only then will you understand that saying. As soon as there are judgments of right and wrong, you lose your mind in a flurry. I hope you get the point. So you have to detach. You have to detach from your opinion. You have to detach from your feeling, your sense to respond, to defend, to correct. Firstly, you have to detach from your understanding, your sense of understanding, your sense of having a position of authority about what you know or what you experience. What you know and what you experience is just trash. It's irrelevant. There's no experience of no experience. This is just pointing to the wrong teachings, the teachings of a self. There is no self who has experience with meditation. That's just a fool who didn't get the point. So you have to accept that within yourself, that all your meditation, all your practice, all your experience up to now isn't worth anything. You have to burn through that karma of your attachment to meditation experiences. But without generosity and without self-sacrifice, real generosity, real self-sacrifice, you're simply not going to get anywhere on this path. You'll never be able to digest these teachings, to receive these teachings. This is an esoteric situation. Okay, saving energy. Generally speaking, practical application of Zen requires detachment from thoughts. Detachment from thoughts. And usually it's the biggest, stupidest, most ridiculous thought that we think we should be attached to, consciously or unconsciously. Right? It's like I said, coming out of the bathroom and smiling with brown in our teeth. Um, so generally speaking, practical application of Zen requires detachment from thoughts. Detachment from thoughts. Sustained practical application of detachment from thoughts. This is the doorway to realistic practice of Zen. This is the doorway to realistic practice of meeting the Buddha and understanding the Dhamma. Detachment from thoughts. This method of Zen saves the most energy. It just requires you to detach from emotional thoughts and understand that there is nothing concrete in the realms of desire, form, and formlessness. Only then can you apply Zen practically. If you try to practice it otherwise, it will seem bitterly painful by comparison. So you have to perceive in your mind, you have to cultivate this understanding that there is nothing concrete, there's nothing solid, there's nothing reliable in the realms of desire, in the realms of form, and in the formless realms. So, special states of meditation or special states of consciousness, there's nothing concrete in any of these realms. So, that is to go freely, but it's also to be in a state that doesn't find restriction in being controlled. Because that freedom isn't about you seeking for a realm of experience. It's not about you seeking for a realm of experience in pleasure or pain avoidance or your own sense of control. So, this is a freedom that is deeper than your own sense or experience of control. So, if you don't try to practice it that way, then it will seem very painful, bitterly painful. You've been put in timeout for 5 minutes out there for heresy. Okay, so after 5 minutes, you can share something else. Once there was a disciplinarian monk who had kept the precepts all his life. As he was walking one night, he stepped on something that squished, which he imagined to be a frog, a mother frog laden with eggs. Mortified at the thought of having killed a pregnant frog, when the monk went to sleep that night, he dreamed that hundreds of frogs came to him demanding his life. He was utterly terrified. Come morning, the monk went to look for the frog he had squashed, and found that it had only been an overripe eggplant. Can you imagine? Are we following along with this story here? Now I ask you, when he stepped on it by night, was it a frog or an eggplant? If it was a frog, yet when he looked at dawn it was an eggplant. If it was a frog, yet when he looked at dawn it was an eggplant, If it was an eggplant, yet there were frogs demanding his life the night before. Can you decide? I'll try to decide for you. Feelings of frogs may be shed, but the idea of eggplant remains. If you would be free of the idea of eggplant, strike the evening chime at noon. That's beautiful. The most direct approach, okay? Listen, please. Listen with your whole body and mind, or get out. The most direct approach. Why don't you understand the essence that has always been there? The audio's cutting out now. Hello? Hello, hello, hello. Is there anybody out there? Can anybody hear me? Is there anyone at all? Why don't you understand? Look, this is a question for you. This is a question for you, the anonymous spirit, vague person watching this live stream. This is a question for you. Why, and question for Mr. Me too. Why don't you understand the essence that has always been there? There is not much to Buddhism. It only requires you to see the way clearly. It does not tell you to extinguish random thoughts and suppress body and mind, shutting your eyes and saying, "This is it." The matter is not like this. So, friends, well-minded friends here, now, these teachings are not about extinguishing thoughts or suppressing the body and mind. This is about, to the degree that I can convey what this is, and who am I to do any of this? If I could, I'd replace myself with someone who is more experienced. Wouldn't you? So, someone who had more experience with all this, but alas, I can't replace myself. So, here's this question. Why don't you understand the essence that has always been there? So it has nothing to do with extinguishing thoughts or suppressing thoughts or suppressing, the body experience. But rather, there is, in essence, there is a nature, as far as I know, that has always been there. That is. Okay, out there, it's another timeout for heresy. This one, 10-minute timeout. Heretics, be warned. Now, let's go back to the beginning because I'm not sure that I really understand this. Why don't you understand the essence that has always been there? There is not much to Buddha. Not needing to experience. Yeah, that sounds better than the what that heretic's been saying. But it's actually not different people. It's just different expressions of nothing. So, why don't you understand the essence that has always been there? There is not much to Buddhism. It only requires you to see the way clearly. It does not tell you to extinguish random thoughts and suppress body and mind, shutting your eyes and saying, "This is it." The matter is not like this. You must observe the present state. What is its logic? What is its guiding pattern? Why are you confused? This is the most direct approach. So, what is this present state? And if we're observing something, well, we have to be scientific about that. So we have to, you know, meaning that, if you're scrolling on TikTok, it's going to be a little bit difficult to observe the present state, to examine. So in this present state, what is the logic of this present state? What is its guiding pattern? Why are you confused? No, it's a little bit more direct than that, Jimbo. So the hint that we get about this present state is that the essence that has always been there. You may not be at the level, Jimbo, to receive this degree of teaching. Because when you say live in the now or live in the moment, that's the master here said the matter is not like this. This is it. It's not like that. It's not, we're not getting electrocuted, finding out that we're getting, this is it. When when someone says this is it to me, I go, what's, this is it. Oh, it is already. The essence that has always been there. See the way clearly. You may remember in some of our recent live talks talking about not polluting the mind. Because this polluted mind, especially of delusions, Jimbo, so complicated ideas about politics and relationships and the world and all these opinions, these are pollutants in the mind. Frankly, you must observe the present state. What is the logic of the present state? What is the guiding pattern of the present state? Why are you confused? This is the most direct approach. It's not in the breath. It's not in anywhere. It's not in or out. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. Beyond existence, beyond life and death, beyond before and after. The essence that has always been there. That which is before and after. That which before and after abide within. Everything exists within this essence, and yet nothing exists within this essence. You must observe the present state. What is its logic? What is its guiding pattern? Why are you confused? This is the most direct approach. Now, how about when I have not spoken to you, and you have not heard me? Is there any point in coming and going? At such a time, do not make up forced rationalizations. Coming forth, going back. So, what if such a time when I had not spoken these teachings to you and you did not hear these teachings? Is there any point in coming forward and going back? No. So, at such a time, do not make up rationalizations about observation of the present state. From the Buddhas above to the totality of beings below, what's going on? Every live here? So from Buddhas above, it's another hint here, Lloyd and Ashton, Miss M and Jim. From the Buddhas above to the totality of beings below, all is thus. In this sense, sages and ordinary people are equal, wrong and right are equal, enlightenment and the world of suffering are equal. Now I ask you, whose business are the ancient Buddhas and the generations of the past, present, and future? Whose business are the contaminated lands of the 10 directions? So, who is it that's making this a concern? Who is it that's making this a priority? Who is taking this up as their way of livelihood? Who is that? I say, if you understand all this 30 years from now, you will realize that I did tell you. Just don't say, this is it. If you do, that is called the view of an outsider, because it is already. It is already. That's why when we say everything is God, something like that, everything is empty, when we're supposed to be sweeping, that's an outsider. That's why you have to be sweeping, because you're a lunatic. Welcome, MV. No seeing. When I bring up one thing and another for you as I do, you think I am explaining Zen. But the minute you go into action, you make it into worldly convention. Right? So we get it, and then we go into action, and then it becomes contrived. It becomes polluted with our conventions of our lives. Only if you keep your attention on it will you be able to make a discovery. But as I see, most of you just remain in eyes and ears, seeing and hearing. Okay. You're banned from the temple for heresy. Only if you keep your attention on it will you be able to make a discovery. So keep our attention on what? Understanding the essence that has always been there. Only if you keep your attention on it will you be able to make a discovery. But as I see, most of you just remain in eyes and ears, seeing and hearing, sensing and feeling. You've already missed the point. You must find the non-discriminatory mind without departing from the discriminating mind. Find that which has no seeing or hearing without departing from seeing and hearing. This does not mean that no seeing is a matter of sitting on a bench with your eyes closed. You must have non-seeing right in seeing. That is why it is said, live in the realm of seeing and hearing, yet unreached by seeing and hearing. Live in the land of thought, yet untouched by thought. Okay. So, thank you for being here, friends. I hope this brought benefit to your life, and I hope you become way more enlightened than anyone else on the planet, and you reach out to me, and you can be my teacher. So we'll finish there. Be careful. There's banana peels all over the place. Don't fall on the banana peel. Next time, just remember, when that banana, you all know what it is for you, right? You know what it is. For some of us, it's xylazine, and for some of us, it's just a 2 liter of Mountain Dew every day, something like that. So don't slip on the banana peel, whether it's a bright one or a dark one. Don't slip on it. Be patient, and keep coming back to that examining of, that questioning of, what is the essence that has always been there. Jimbo, stay away from the xylazine. And for everyone else, this is your final moment to give me a compliment, to insult me, to make a complaint, or to share about your experience here. Sometimes my teachings can feel a little bit dry, I think, because it's a little bit of a dry environment, and that's nobody's fault. It's just the nature of how things are, So uh, it's very beneficial when you share, when you send me an email, or share about your experience, share your practice with me. Let me know how everything's going. And, Ashton's not learning anything, and all the better. I'm glad you're here, Ashton, if you learn or not. Um, because the way I see it, I've got enough suffering for 10 people, and my practice is working with that suffering, and I know when I'm suffering more, when I'm suffering less, and um, this is a space of having suffering and working to transform it with the support of the great masters of old. And it's a precious space. It won't always be like this, um, but it is the way that it is right now. And I just hope that it's bringing value and benefit to people. And hoping to keep your foot off of the banana peel, and also, as we tend to do, stepping and slipping on the banana peel, um, uh, being able to recover from that. And hopefully we're all moving forward on that path. Okay. So the final words of the live stream: and be well, be happy, be peaceful, be free from suffering. Thank you, and bye bye.